Last week I got the gator mount installed, so this week we're going to run the wires from the back, get the batteries and battery trays installed, and do all the other necessary wiring to add all the accessories. In order to get wires from here up to the front of the boat, we're going to use what's called a fish tape. It's a piece of steel that's fairly stiff, should be relatively easy to feed up through here. I'm going to go in through the drain plug and it'll come out at the open panels up front. There are several bulkheads and a lot of foam insulation, so it'll take a little bit of effort to get it through there. But if you're careful and feed it all the way through, once you get it up to the front, we can pull a string back, hook the wires to it, and pull the wires forward. Okay, that looks like it's up through the front, so we'll go up there and pull us a string through. Well, it took a little bit of effort, but we finally got the fish tape through there, and now I'm going to pull a string back through the other way that I can tie to my cables and pull them up through. I'm running 4 wires to the front, 2 for my trolling motor and 2 for any future electronics I might add. On the trolling motor, I'm using 6-gauge wire, which is recommended for 36-volt trolling motor. The 36-volt trolling motor is a little overkill for this boat, but I run it because I already own a spare for my big boat, and there's no need to buy a 12 or 24-volt trolling motor for this boat and not have a spare for it. Using the 36, I've got spares for both boats. It's pretty simple. We're going to tie it off to the string. I'll tape it off real good where it'll stay on there, and then I'll pull it on through. Okay, we've got our wires run, we've got the ends put on them, so now we just need to be able to hook the trolling motor to the wires that are run up front. Now you can use a twist lock plug like you see in a lot of marine applications, but in this particular instance I'm going to use a terminal block, and there's a couple of different reasons I'm going to do that. First of all, the twist lock plugs over time always seem to be a problem. They get loose or they get corroded, so there's not a very good connection on here. I can mount the terminal block on the back side of one of the access plates, run my wires to it, and it's out of the weather that way. Also, the trolling motor in my Phoenix is wired this way, so I don't have to change plugs when I go from here to the Phoenix. I just have to unscrew it from the terminal block here, screw it to there if I have to use it as a spare. Okay, we've got the final installation done. Terminal block's mounted to the back of my access plate. I've got my wires coming from the battery hooked to it. I drilled a 3/8 inch hole to get the wires through from the trolling motor foot control up here, and they're wired in. Now all we have to do is put that plate back in and hook the batteries up the back. Now that the front end of the boat's all wired and ready to go, what we need to do next is mount the batteries. First thing I always do when I'm messing with batteries is go get something older on a t-shirt that's not going to matter if I get a little acid on it, just in case. Generally don't have a problem, but it's better safe than sorry. In this particular system, I'm pulling the batteries out of my old boat and the battery trays out of my old boat. They were both in good shape. No need to go out and spend a bunch of money for something that's working and I'm not having issues with. I'm running a 36-volt system, so I'm going to mount the batteries, 2 on one side, 1 on the other of the center line. Since I generally fish out of the left-hand side, I'm going to put the 2 on the right to help offset the weight when I'm standing on that side of the boat. Once I get the battery trays lined up exactly like I want them, I want to drill pilot holes for the screws, then take some stainless sheet metal screws and secure them to the deck so that they don't move around any. Then we'll take a look at how they're wired. Since the wire I bought didn't have ends on it, I got to add ends to it. And we're using these brass fittings. Pretty simple to use. To strip off enough wire to go up in the fitting and then crimp it on there. It's one extra step. I'm going to use some heat shrink on it, which will give us a nice clean edge, and it will keep us from getting any corrosion down in there. Once we got it stripped down, put it down in the brass fitting, making sure it goes all the way in, and then of course crimp it down. Once I've got it crimped, I'm going to pull on it, make sure it's good and tight, slide the heat shrink up there, light the torch up, and heat it up. Don't want to melt the plastic, so you want to be careful with it, but you want to get it good and snug. There, we've got our connection. We're ready to hook it to the battery. Now we just got to do the other side. Wiring a 36-volt system is pretty simple. You've got 3 batteries, battery 1, 2, and 3, 12 volts each. Add them together in series and you end up with 36 volts. To do that, we just want to go from the positive of battery 1 to the negative of battery 2, positive of battery 2 to the negative of battery 3. We then can hook our positive that goes up front to battery 3's positive and our negative to the negative on battery 1. That gives us batteries in series and 36 volts to the front. Okay, I've got the jumpers hooked up in the back. I've got my hot wire and ground wire hooked up to the front, so the trolling motor should run now. I'll come up here before I bolt up the front panel and test it just to make sure everything's working. Make sure first of all that the prop will clear the boat in our installation, because you don't want to bang up the prop or the boat. And we've got it on fairly low speed, and we need to run it high. Hit the button, we've got trolling motor. That's all there is to it. Join me next week and I'll show you how I'm going to go about hooking up the built-in charger, and we're going to add the bilge pump at that point.